Right, so let's start doing it in the other way. And the first thing we're going to create is the SASS map. So we're going to store each of the colors. So when we hover over this one, we're going to store the red color in that, the blue, the yellow, the purple, whatever colors we want, right? So we're going to create a map for this. And that's just like you would with color list. You would with whatever you're doing, variables for background colors and so on. And in here, we are going to create our map, and it starts looking like this. So color list and creating these parentheses, and this is basically our array of colors, right? So we're going to do just, we're going to call it hover 1. That's the first color. So in here, we're going to create another one, and we're going to tell it this color here is containing a background color, not a background color, yeah, we're just going to call it background color, you can call it fill, whatever. And here we're just going to punch in the color red. So this is our first hover color. Why is it being, oh sorry, I didn't need this one. So just like this, that's our first color. Now, if you don't know what I'm doing, go back to where the videos with the SASS maps are, because I'm doing exactly the same thing here. So that's the first color. And now I'm going to use a comma to separate it to create the next one. And I want a hover 2, parentheses. I'm going to call that also background color, if I spell it correctly. And instead of doing, let's try 0, 0 over here, that's green. And I'm just going to copy these here because I want 4 colors, right? We have 4 different, and remember, separate it with a comma once you're done with one. So that one this, and this one needs to be that color, it's purple, and then 0, 0, and blue for the last one. So now I have my color list that contains each of these colors, right? And we're going to be using our each loop, just like the for loop up here. So we're going to create something that goes through it a number of times. And then it's going to extract the colors so it fits together. So the first one will be hover red, the second one will be green, and so on and so on. That's what we're going to use our each loop for now. Each loop now. Well, that's hard to say apparently. First things first, we're going to use the @ sign, and instead of typing 4, we just type each. So we kind of, instead of, in the for loop we also did an I for start 1, go to 4. With an each loop we're just going to say, well, just use the amount of things we have up here. So up here we have 4. So we kind of know it's going to iterate through 4 of these. So we're going to start by saying we're going to create a variable that we want to use here, right? And we want to create another variable here because we need somewhere to store each colors for each iteration. The first color will be red. That will be stored in the color. Once it's done going through that one, the second iteration, or the number 2, so switch dash bar 2, that will now be stored in the same one, overriding the other one, and so on until it's through everything. So similar, I can just copy this down here so I can see the difference. So I'm just copying down 4, you don't have to, and I will delete it afterwards. And then how many times is it going to loop? And I'm going to say in hashtag color list. It's also already asking me, are you trying to do it as many times as your SASS map? Yes, yes I am. So this now knows it's going to iterate through color list, and there's 4 different elements up here. So it knows what to do now. So let's try adding some code to this, and let's just do it simple first to see what actually happens. So let's just do a height, see if this works. Height 100 pixels. And let's just delete this and click save. Oh, it does nothing, right? We didn't actually tell it anything. So let's just add a diff just to test. So see what happens. So diff, delete, and then end the diff like so. Save, and we still have an error because hover duplicate keys 1, 2. Oh, right. Hover 3, hover 4. Let's try again, save, and there we go. So I forgot to change the value of 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go into our standard style sheet. And if you want to see that, you can just go here, click it with command or a control, and let's see what happens down here. So we created the diffs, right? It created 4, but in nowhere did we actually mention the number 4, because it's counting. in here. There's 4 elements or 4 objects, or whatever you call it, and that's how it's producing the amount of 4. Next thing I just want to quickly show is, let's go give it a background color, if I can spell correctly, and once I'm done with this, we'll actually do the correct word. But I just want to show you how we actually grab these colors up here. So it's going to change depending on where it is in the loop. So we're going to use the map get, and it also states, okay, we need a map and we need a key, and we already have those. So let's do this. So let's start with going for the what's it called? The color. That's the first one, and then we're going for the background color up here. Hashtag background color, like so. And then we're going to end it. And I'm getting an error, I think. Yeah, let's see. Undefined variable, BG color. Oh, this is not supposed to be remove. If you punch that in, remove your $sign, so it just says BG color. So let's click save again, and let's go to our style, and let's see what actually happens. So now you can see, instead of just printing out height 100 4 times, it's actually going into our map, grabbing the specific elements or specific colors and printing them out for each of our map. So now we know that works. We can now start doing more things with this. So instead of diff, we kind of wanted to, like we did before up here. So where was it? I deleted it. But let's just write it in again so we know it works. And let's steal, let's see, what was it? It was hashtag, and it was switch bar, and then we want for each bar, so that one and an I, so 1 for the first one, 2 for the second one, and so on. And then we wanted hover, if I recall, we may have to change, and the tilde sign, and we want it to be attached to the control bar. And then let's see what happens. So let's try this, click save, go to our browser, refresh, and we did an error somewhere that we need to locate. Let's see our code. It prints it out correctly. Bar hover, that's not right. I forgot something. So let's check here. Right, let's just check and see what the CSS shows us. So it's creating these. It says switch bar hover. That's wrong. So we can see this is not supposed. It's supposed to look like switch bar 3, right? So suddenly we have a hover 1, hover 2, and then hover. It's probably because of the naming of this one here. So we're just going to quickly make a small change to our map up here and down here. So now you also see how we can fix an error. The reason why it's actually printing out the name here as well. So we're just going to, instead of having hover up here, we're just going to type bar. And I'll show you what that actually does in a moment. So just switch this to bar. And the reason I switch it to bar is because that's the name in here. Switch bar, 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 and so on. And instead of writing bar, we just delete that. And I think that's it. Let's try and click save. So it says switch dash the hashtag and I, and let's see what it creates in here. So now it does switch dash bar 1 hover. That looks right. So let's try and see if that works in our browser. So still nothing. So we're getting closer, but we still have apparently ways to go. I know, because we're trying to add a background color to our filling, which needs to be inside our what's it called? Let's try doing fill instead. See if that works. Oh, we still need to add the .lcls because that's where it is. Yeah, so much, and then we need to do that one as well. So let's see if that helped. And now it's working. So for each iteration, if we just go through it real slow again, we created a map, a SASS map, and we gave it a name of color list, and we gave each of these bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4. If you have 10 bars, create 10 bars. And then we just gave you the name BG color. That's where we are storing the color. So in this case, if we were to convert it, it would just say red or this hashtag. And the same for these ones. So we're doing it like this. And then with our each loop, we're going to use a number for each time prints. We're going to store the color that we're getting from the list, the SASS map, and the amount of times it's going to run through is depending on how many we have up here. So if I delete these two, and just before I click save, you can see how it goes to 4, save, now there's only 2, because it's iterating through the amount up in our map up here. So if we created 8, there will be 8. Then you of course need to create 8 SVGs as well. And then we're going into the .cls-1, and we're using fill because that's how we change the background color. And then we're using map-get to grab the colors up here. So we're using color, go up here and snag that one up here. And in the color, we're going to use the background color. So this is also something we did in the previous video. But that's how we can create a new hover effect for each of these without having to manually type each hover effect, but using an each loop instead.